You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
In a world where film studios have pillaged every young adult novel, DC'd every comic book series, and Frankensteined every silver screen monster in search of the next movie mega franchise. Two nerds, two movies, one cinematic universe.
This is Randy.
And this is Jasper.
We watched two movies.
And they were actiony.
They were actiony. They were very actiony.
Mm-hmm.
All right, today we're going to discuss The Terminator.
And The Predator.
Yeah. So, big classic action Arnold block here.
Yeah.
Was that your Arnold?
Get through the chopper.
So what are we going to start with? Because let's just jump into them.
You had what? You had Predator?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, let's go with Predator.
Predator.
Then we'll cap it off with a better movie.
Predator, released in 1987. According to the movie database, Dutch and his group of commandos are hired by the CIA to rescue downed airmen from guerrillas in a Central American jungle. The mission goes well, but as they return, they find that something is hunting them. Nearly invisible, it blends in with the forest, taking trophies from the bodies of its victims as it goes along. Occasionally seeing through its eyes, the audience sees it is an intelligent alien hunter, hunting them for sport, killing them off one at a time. I mean, that's accurate, but that's a weird description. Directed by John McTiernan and starring Arnold, Carl Weathers, Bill Duke, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landham, a bunch of people. Not a bunch of people. That's about the extent of it. There's a few other people. They don't list Shane Black.
Because wasn't he one of the main dudes?
Shane Black is the guy with the eyeglasses.
Yeah.
Who tells his girlfriend jokes about his girlfriend's vajayjay. Do you know who Shane Black is?
I've heard of him.
I think you like this guy. He directed Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering. I was like, I remember hearing the name.
Mm-hmm. And he's directing the new movie, Predator, The Predator, coming out this year, I think, or at least according to the internet. So Predator. Jasper, this seems like a silly question, but I never know with you. Have you seen this before?
I've seen parts of it. This is the first time I watched it fully through.
Really? And you did, though, watch it fully through?
Yeah.
So what did you think? What did you think of the full Predator experience?
It's very, very 80s action.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like when in the first part of the movie where they land in the jungle and then they show like how boss the squad is because they just wipe out that outpost.
Yeah. They make quick work of that.
Yeah, they're just like, that's quick.
Uh-huh.
And then they kind of like started kind of forming the story behind the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the CIA guy's always the bad dude.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah, I liked how they showed like just how this team just rolls things. Just like, out for extraction, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is super old school action when they're rolling through this little guerrilla village, taking them out. Particularly when they're blowing things up, and it's got that certain shot where it's like dudes like flying through the air in slow mo, like getting blown out of like little whatever the nests or little on top of buildings and stuff, like
machine gun nests and sniper posts.
Yeah, and there's just that certain like they'd always shoot it from like the ground up, and it's dudes flying in slow motion. But watching this, it did make me appreciate in general like well done practical stuff is usually pretty awesome. But it made me appreciate actual explosions, and everything exploded in this little village. Like they just shoot guys, and then stuff behind them would explode.
Right.
But they still do explosions in movies, but it's nice to not be swamped with CGI explosions where it's like that dude's not actually even there, and that explosion probably isn't real. Whereas those explosions are real.
Yeah, especially in the village part was like just complete overkill. Like,
oh, it's insane.
Machine guns, grenades blowing up the truck.
I love the truck bit because Arnold goes and like they're like, well, what's he doing? And he shows that he's super strong. Of course, it's Arnold. He's strong, but lifts the truck up and off of the block so it runs into a building with an explosive strapped to it. Like, unnecessary but awesome because the other guys watching are even like, oh yeah, once he like starts doing it, he's like, oh, it's crazy, time to go.
Yeah, like the guy's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It was like, it was almost like he was like, I could just roll in here and shoot everybody, but I could also throw this truck into the center building. Like,
this would be quicker and way cooler.
Right.
So this movie's got a real good pace about it because it just kicks you into it as quick as possible. It opens with, they show up and Carl Weathers, he's the CIA guy. It was CIA.
Yeah.
They kept, they refer to him as the agent man, whatever, but he used to like roll with Arnold. Yeah.
Now he's in a lot of other movies, isn't he, Carl Weathers?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I can never pinpoint the movies he's in, but I've seen him multiple times.
Oh yeah. He was in lots of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I never realized he was quite so, well, he was in like Rocky, wasn't he? He was like one of the Rocky
I don't
opponents.
really remember Rocky.
I'm not super familiar with Rocky.
I have watched it. I just don't remember it.
There's that classic bit where when, they first see each other at the beginning, he's like, you son of a b-, and they come up and do the like handshake, like midair arm wrestle handshake thing. Dude, and it's just, the screen is just full of arm muscle. It's just, this is a man movie.
Right.
With muscly men fighting things.
I think it also helped that he kind of looked like Lando, but I felt like it was almost like that Han Solo Lando coming to see each other thing. I thought it was the guy that plays Lando.
That's racist, and you're a nerd.
No.
You're a racist nerd.
No, I'm not. That was the cheekbones.
It basically sets it up like here's who Dutch is. Dutch is Arnold. They're going in to do this mission. Right away the mission doesn't matter. It's not important, and it's probably BS.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's Predator. You're going into Predator, and then they're on the plane or on the helicopter, and then they're in the jungle, and then action's happening, and then people are getting hunted. Like, I don't know. It's just such a good pace. It starts off so fast, and I'd say it slows down a little bit once it gets into like picking the hunter, Predator picking them off one by one, which it basically is. But even that it keeps up the pace. It doesn't really slow down. It's just, it becomes more of a suspenseful. It's more suspense action instead of just action.
Mm-hmm. And then I like when they start picking off like the team.
Mm-hmm.
And how like some of the team members are going kind of crazy because they almost kind of show that like they don't like to be hunted. They're usually the predator.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, they ain't gonna kill us. And then Predator's like, you guys don't know who I am. Like,
there's so many good lines from this movie. But what made me think of that is I can't remember his name offhand. The guy that's always shaving, which is a weird trait to give a character. But he's got like a Bic razor and he's just always shaving.
Mm-hmm.
He snaps. I mean, a couple of the guys snap
really early on,
but he snaps like most significantly because he sticks around for quite a while after he's kind of snapped, and he says some crazy things. I'm gonna get me some, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many lines that are quotable from this movie.
Now that brings up the point that there is a lot of quotes from this movie that I thought were from like Terminator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Terminator's only got a couple, and I was thinking we'll get into that in the next movie.
Yeah.
But Terminator's got a couple of iconic lines. But no, this one's got
multiple.
A ton. Dude, Jesse Ventura, which, by the way, it's so funny that there's two governors in this movie running around shooting things.
California and Minnesota.
But, or former governors, I should say.
I didn't know that was Jesse Ventura until later in the movie.
Really? How did you not?
I just wasn't really looking at him. And then once I was like, oh, wait, that's Jesse Ventura.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, every line out of his mouth, with the exception of one, which is not a good line, but every line out of his mouth is like super quotable and memorable and ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I ain't got time to bleed. Just that kind of thing. So good.
Right.
Get to the choppa, of course.
There's another really good one that Arnold says, and I forgot what it was.
There's a couple bad, and I didn't realize that there were a couple bad Arnold one-liners, like old school Arnold one-liners when he'd kill like some of the guerrilla fighters in the village. Like it's not a goofy movie. Like it plays things pretty straight, other than the fact that it knows it's a big machismo sci-fi action movie with a alien creature.
Mm-hmm.
But it plays things pretty straight, except there's a couple of really goofy Arnold one-liners. At one point, he throws like a machete or a big knife at one of the guys, and I noticed when it hits him, it's almost like you hear that comical like boom, like sound
mm-hmm.
of the knife sticking into the guy into the wall, and he says, what does he say? He says, stick around or something like that. And I'm like, oh, are you serious? I didn't realize we went there in this movie, but
like anybody would say that if they stuck somebody like just something really stupid.
Stick around. It was classic Arnold delivery on it too, but yeah. So there's a little bit of that, but not that much. Production wise, like it looks great. That jungle is a jungle.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. I wonder. I didn't look it up. I wonder where they filmed it. But I wouldn't want to be running around this jungle.
Yeah, especially like they did I really like how they did when he got the first guy. I don't remember what Shane Black's character's name was, but
yeah, he is the first of them to go. Though.
Yeah, you see like the blood coming down the tree,
and
like they did it perfectly to where like you like okay, Arnold really didn't see that or something. You know, the effects in the movie were really good.
The effects, like most of it's practical, of course. All the gore, of course, is practical. But then you've got what did you think of the camouflage effect that the Predator uses?
I kind of want to know how they did that, but it's almost like they just kind of distorted that area. And then it's kind of like I'm more spoiled with the newer movies, like where so like he just kind of appears as a holographic blob. In the new movies, you'd see like his form and his muscles and stuff like that.
See, I like that how it's done here. I like the look of it. I think the movement's a little weird sometimes. I think that's the one aspect to that doesn't quite hold up is because it looks good. And I'm like, this is 87? I'm like, I wonder how they went about doing that. And it looks good, but sometimes the movement is kind of strange. Otherwise, yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Especially when in the part kind of mid movie where he is he goes after, what's his name, Mac?
Mac. That's the guy that shaves.
Yeah. He goes after Mac, and you see him like do kind
of. I'm gonna
like
have me some fun. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have me some fun. Oh,
he does that so like kind of like almost kind of like what I always call like the side attack, where he like comes running and then he's like kind of leaning into the turn. And you could tell like it was like not actually him running because it seemed like disconnected from the ground.
Oh yeah.
It just looked really weird.
Along those lines, this didn't necessarily look weird, but something I found. So the Predator itself he pretty much travels through the trees, and there's at least one really good shot where they kind of showed how he goes about that. It's like him jumping from like tree to tree, and he like falls down and lands feet first on a limb, but then just falls forward and keeps going, like keeps the momentum going.
Yeah.
But then once you see him, anytime you see him without camouflage on, it's so obvious that this is a big dude in a big heavy suit, and he's not all that dexterous. So there's a kind of a disconnect between what he can do when he's got camouflage on because it's an effect they can use versus the actual creature when he's on screen. I don't know that I buy that big dude climbing up and down the side of a tree like it shows it at times when he's camouflaged, but that's nitpicking.
They really got me with when they first caught him in the net, that scream he let out, like it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. You messaged me a couple times while you were watching this. You said that his mimicking the laugh was creepy.
Yeah, because he's watching those two walk by and they start laughing. He's like, like gets real loud. I was like, the hell is that?
There's so many like cool ideas to the creature itself because you do like that overview is right. Like it cuts to its vision a lot, and it's got weird like heat thermal type vision.
Red,
but also like. It samples and it processes the audio from the people talking, and it plays it over and over again at different pitches, like trying to figure it out or something. And there's weird, almost, I assumed it was like the weird alien version of a waveform display on the side. But like, yeah, it plays back the audio over and over at different pitches, like it's trying to figure it out. And I thought that was just interesting.
I was going to say, it looked like they were getting, for a while, it looked like they were getting hunted by like an Atari Jaguar or something. Like,
yeah.
Like, but, that's what kind of got me too, because what I've known of Predator in like the last probably year or so, or not a year, I'd probably say a couple months, but they were saying it about a year ago that there was a new Ubisoft game, Ghost Recon, and there's a mission where you fight the Predator.
Okay.
And the dialogue between you and the other characters is him repeating it. So when you go to fight him, he goes, "Is it real?" Like, and it does that height, like that different pitch stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't like this. And then when I heard it actually in the movie, I was like, holy crap.
Oh, yeah, it's a great concept.
Eerie, like, and they're like, is that a real thing? Is that you? Like, it's, you know, this predator, and they did it so good. Like you can hear an audio like where he is in the trees,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll just repeat all the dialogue you said between you and your character. I was like, I thought it'd be really cool though if they somehow like they did in the movie, like any talk, like if they could get the feed from your microphone and he would repeat you talking to your friend.
Uh-huh.
That'd be eerie. Kind of tying that back into the movie, I felt when what was his name in the CIA agent in the movie? Man, I really forgot all their names.
Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan comes and he goes, over here. I thought it was going to be the Predator.
Oh, Mac says that?
Yeah.
Says over here to Dylan.
Yeah, Mac, he's like, over here. I was like, dude, I've seen this play out. It's him.
Because that's what he said earlier when he sampled Mac was, you know, turn around.
What I've heard is they kind of extrapolate more on that idea in the later Predators, but
Maybe.
But yeah, I thought that'd be totally weird to get hunted by something that has recorded your vocals and
use it as a decoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the flashing eyes thing? The headlights, as I like to call them.
It was cool. I don't know that it makes sense. It doesn't look great. You know, the effect itself doesn't stand up very well. But like, I get the idea of it. It's kind of like an animal where you see the light flash in their eyes.
Mm-hmm. And I think he kind of says that once he tells him what he saw. He's like, I saw his eyes flat, or the flash of his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think we kind of skipped over her, but when they find the girl in the gorilla outpost, I know they kind of said it's because she's unarmed, but he never really went after her. Mm-hmm. And I almost thought they were going to try to, I almost thought it was an idea they had, but they abandoned it where she put the blood on her. So I wonder if, like,
because she did rub it on her leg, on her pants, wipe it on her pants. I think, though, it was Arnold. I think Arnold was right, though. I think it was a matter of she wasn't armed. Mm-hmm. She wasn't. Yeah, it's like something not like the thrill of the game or something. I like that once, of course, you know, Arnold's he's the big bad. He's smart and tough. She or somebody said it's like it's hunting us. Like it all clicked for him, and he like knew the rules at that point, you know. But that kind of makes sense because it clicked for him, and
he's also a predator.
In
military terms, he's a predator.
And he was actually like, she kept going to grab a gun, and at one point, and he's the one that kept slapping it away. It's like, no, like it's not
after you
because you're unarmed. Like there's several times where she tried to grab a gun and said she shouldn't.
But then that kind of hurt the concept for me. Like, why didn't they all just drop their guns and walk to the helicopter?
Well, I don't think that would be the same, though. I don't think that would be the same.
Because they fired on him.
He knows them to be
hostile.
Yeah.
But I also like the guy, I forgot his name too, but the almost say like the wind talker guy.
Billy? Yeah.
Where he's kind of just standing there and he's like, there's something in the woods over here. Like,
oh, yeah. Is that... Billy's interesting. I like his character. Is it racist that he's like a wind talker?
Because they kind of used him in World War II, and if I am, correct me if I'm wrong, they used him in the like Vietnam.
So I've got this thing
version of it
where, because it still happens. It happened not long ago on like, what was it? Was it Flash or Legends of Tomorrow? I think it was The Flash. Anytime you see a Native American actor in a movie, they're in that role because they need some type of Native American person in that role. They have some type of either stereotypical or whatever traditional Native American trait or something. And that got me thinking, I'm like, why don't you see more Native American actors just in normal roles? Why are they always the Native American? So, and it's been a long time since I watched that. So when this first started, I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, hey, well, they don't do that with him in here. And then it's like, oh wait, no, he is kind of like the wind talker tracker type guy.
I wish they would have explained more about
That's a little weird.
About that stone on it, or that thing on his necklace.
He is a cool character, though. And stuff like that, like, I like that it's there, but they don't go into it too deep.
Especially when he's like, we're all going to die. And then he just walks away. Like,
he gives up quick. I mean, he doesn't give up. He fights to the end, but, like, he sees...
But it's kind of a thing where I think he knows
He gave up hope real fast. He's the last... Although he makes it, he's the last of the ones that get killed. But I like that it's dumb. It's a dumb decision on his behalf.
Yeah.
And you don't see how he goes out, but that he's like stops and he's like, all right, nope, I'm going to toss my gun, take my shirt off, pull out this big old knife. You know, he cuts himself so that I'm guessing thinking it'd be attracted to the blood. And I guess it buys the other people some time, but yeah, he stops and accepts the fate and is just like, he didn't last long though.
Yeah. So going to that too, did you see of course, it's a movie and they have stunt doubles, but did you see that? You could tell that was really not Arnold when he jumped off that waterfall.
No, I know, because he's way smaller. He's a little skinny guy.
Way smaller, and they didn't even try to like mess with his hair to look like Arnold. I was like, that is not Arnold. As I pointed him like all the way to the water.
And you could tell those shots too, because those shots were, I'm not going to say out of focus, but the focus was a little off and they were way fuzzier, like obviously different film stock, shot a different day. Like it's particularly the far away shots when he's going over waterfalls. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then I felt like that wasn't him too when he's swimming, and then here comes this unexpected rock, and then Arnold comes out the other side. But I was kind of thinking that was him, but
no, I noticed that too. Actually, I think it might have been him, but I had that same thought where I was like, that seems like the kind of blocking they would do when they need to switch out an actor. But like, he just swam for like 3 feet over there. Like, why did they have to switch him out?
Yeah.
I don't know that they actually did, but I did notice that.
That's what I mean. I was like, well, they probably. My first thought was they just did the shoot from him swimming away. But then I was thinking if they did that, maybe he did jump, swam, and did they had a whole one shot. But he hit the water, swam, and then rested, and then Arnold took off from behind the rock. Like then he miraculously finds mud.
Well, and he figures that it masks his body, his heat signature.
Because I was wondering the whole movie. I'm like, how are they going to get the heat signature? Like tie that in real quick. Because I was kind of watching the time too, because it's getting late. And I was like, how are they going to tie this in? And then suddenly it's like, boom, he doesn't know how to stay away from him. Boom, now he knows.
Yeah. I like the big confrontation too, and the little montage buildup of him.
Dude, they had a fireworks budget or something, man.
Oh, yeah.
That final fight where they are like shooting, like he's shooting that plasma bolt thing. And it's like, and like you can like tell this is like 10 stories high. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Huge. Oh, yeah.
Like, I really wonder how they did that too. I wonder if that was just like a firework explosion or like.
Yeah, I mean,
it almost looked like a transformer blowing up.
It did.
Like electrical.
It was interesting that and I'm glad they went. Obviously, the plasma bolts and stuff, like, or whatever it is, were like in effect. But I'm glad, the explosions and stuff didn't look like explosions. They look like white fireworks most of the time. But I'm glad they went practical with that. Because it was cool. It does look like when in movies anyway, Transformers blow up, not those Transformers, but electrical Transformers.
I also like how kind of like Predator put down the weapons and he's like, I'm gonna fist fight you. Like,
oh, he's yeah.
Like, I'm gonna give you the common courtesy, so you don't have a gun, and I have all this like weaponry, and so we're just gonna go hands right now.
Oh yeah, no, it's good.
And then the thing that really got me was when Predator sees that valley that he had the spikes in. And he's like touching the spikes and he like cocks his eyebrow like, ooh, these are sharp. Like,
I love that because
he's like, oh, you planned well, but you know what? I kind of see these. Like,
but that was also Arnold's plan, which is great because he set that log up over the other path around to there, knowing that he'd probably, I don't know when I watched this many times when I was younger. And I don't know if I caught it that.
He has like a secondary.
Yeah, I think the Predator was meant to see those sharp things there and not be an idiot and go around thinking.
Have to have a plan B.
Yeah, and the plan B was the one. He really should have busted his head open with that rock though after the log fell on him, because that gave him time to set off his weird alien countdown.
I was kind of surprised too, because like in a movie sense, like they didn't like kill him to capture him, or keep him and see what he is. But
Dutch didn't.
But I kind of wonder too why Dutch didn't hit him with it. Like he was just like, I'm gonna give you the common courtesy to just die or whatever. But
yeah, I think he just figured he's done. I don't think he was expecting weird, not practical effect, weird nuclear explosion type thing to happen. But
it was a good ending scene. Like my big issue was that I felt like it kind of dragged at first, but then like you said, it kind of picked up and didn't stop. And then that last fight was just like.
Yeah, this is, like I said, this is something I watched a ton when I was younger. I like this movie a lot, and maybe it's a nostalgia. I'm sure part of it is a nostalgia thing, but for me, there's so many memorable bits. There's so many memorable lines. There's so many memorable sequences, like when Jesse Ventura gets got, and they end up all just unloading their weapons into the jungle and like clear out a big chunk of vegetation. Awesome. And the alien or the Predator itself is a cool creature.
I like how they just nothing for being a person that likes guns. There is absolutely no target acquisition before they start firing. They're just like, oh, he's shooting in the woods. Okay, everybody grab gun.
Dude, and that's what kind of makes it funny. I mean, I guess it makes sense because they're like, well, this guy's just unloading over there. There's got to be something there.
With a chain gun.
Yeah.
Because any squad carries that.
They all just run up, and as soon as they run up, they see everybody's firing. So they're just like, okay, unload everything. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but
that's what I was talking about when I messaged you the smirk while he's unloading a weapon. He's just like,
yeah, no, it was awesome.
Which is kind of weird not to see him man the chain gun.
I know. Normally Arnold's the one who gets it,
right? Rambo style.
But nope, it was Mac, and I can't remember Jesse Ventura's character's name, but
just
Ventura,
the hillbilly.
Yeah, kind of.
He had chew in his mouth.
Big
the
old
whole time.
Yeah, it'll make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
That had me rolling.
Dude, it's such a good line, but it follows like his worst line. But it's such a good line. The sexual tyrannosaurus. Ugh.
Is that one where they use the F word? And I'm not talking about the letter one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was the one I remembered.
And I get it. Like, it's from the 80s. And, it's not out of character. Like, he's obviously like a manly man.
We also had to say, the best line. You're one ugly mother.
Yep. Classic.
I love that one. I didn't even know Arnold actually cussed in any movie.
Are you kidding? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He cusses. He ain't no Boy Scout.
It was good. It was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Classic. To me, classic. And definitely the best Predator movie. I guess I'll touch on that a little bit once we get towards the cinematic universe portion. All right. Are we going to do star rating on this? And then?
Yeah.
Okay. You start. What's your star rating on this?
We're out of 5 again? Yeah, we're out of 5, right? I want to say 4 out of 5. I thought it was really good. I thought the effects were really good. Like I said, a little bit in the beginning. Took a little bit to get going.
Mm-hmm.
And the storyline wasn't really built up. I think, again, that comes from my MCU background. Like, I like the story movies, but no, like once they kind of know who they were getting hunted by, then I just keep going. But yeah, 4 out of 5.
Okay. I'm going to go 4.5 out of 5, 4.5 stars out of 5.
I respect it.
Because this is, to me, essential, classic action, sci-fi, a little bit of horror, 80s action, like required viewing. And it's unique because, I guess it's sci-fi and it's action. Those are definitely the two big genres, but it's a little bit horror too, because it's almost like slasher. They're being hunted down, and you get a lot of POV shots from the creature. But the setting seems unique for that kind of a movie. Like, they're in the jungle. The whole thing is, except for the, first short scene, is in the jungle, and that seems unique. Yeah, 4.5. I love it. I think it's great. For me, the pace at the beginning is fine. It dips down a little bit during the hunt, but that's inevitable.
Right.
And it still never really bogs down at any point. It just dips down a little bit.
It really took off when it was just Arnold and the Predator.
Oh yeah, I love that last sequence. That's good.
That's like 30 minutes long too. That part alone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
And I'm fine with the lack of backstory because they hint at little things. Like you mentioned, the Billy's like stone or whatever it is he rubs. And then they give little nods to like past missions they've done and stuff, and without getting into any of it, because essentially none of that matters. So like, that doesn't bother me. I'm good with that. I think it works well that way.
Yeah.
What next, Jasper?
Now we're on to the Terminator.
We got to do our thing. From the jungles of South America, right?
From the jungles of South America to the suburbs of, is it Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Is it Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it was.
Suburbs of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Which is a jungle in itself, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the Terminator, which was in 1984, almost thought that said 1994, seemingly indestructible android is sent from 2029 to 1984 to assassinate a waitress whose unborn son will lead humanity in a war against the machines, while a soldier from that war is sent to protect her at all costs. Directed by James Cameron.
Yep. Is
written by James Cameron, too. Stars Arnold, Michael Biehn, Kyle Reese. He plays Kyle Reese.
Yep, Michael Biehn.
Linda Hamilton, which is Sarah Connor.
Those are the main characters.
Yeah.
Lance Henriksen is a cop in there.
Yep. Paul Winfield is the lieutenant. Yeah, and then pretty much falls off of it. Oh, I would actually like to point out Earl Bowen, the doctor, because he's kind of in the sequential movies.
Yeah, he comes back.
Yeah.
And actually, the last time you see him in this movie,
yeah,
they set him up to return in a way even though it was, almost 10 years before they made a sequel, like, it was clear that they had a sequel in mind, because he leaves the police station, is distracted by something long enough to miss Arnold walking through the door, and then he leaves. Like, that was an intentional decision to have the doctor not see Arnold, leave, never return to the movie, knowing that eventually there will be a sequel in which he is in it, and doesn't believe it because he didn't see any of that stuff go down. He didn't see Arnold. So that hints that there was some foresight for a sequel that didn't happen for almost 10 years later.
That's crazy. I didn't know it was 10 years later.
It's got to be maybe closer to 8, but it wasn't until it was early 90s, I think.
That's still a long time.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Because it seems like with new movies now, it's like, oh, this did really good. Okay, a year from now, let's do it again.
Okay, so The Terminator.
Start that movie off with a naked man.
A big, muscly naked man.
Appearing in
that's not
kneeling fetal position?
That's not totally true. And I didn't realize it kicked into the future stuff right off the bat. But it kicks into some scenes of the future first. So this is a good opportunity to talk about the future. That's, I think, part of what makes this so awesome is, man, that future is cool. Like, I mean, it's horrible because it's the Terminator future. Everybody knows what that looks like. It's skulls lining the ground everywhere, and crazy flying machines and big tank tread machines, and it's iconic. Watching this movie, like, it struck me. It's like, how many movies ripped this movie off? And not to say it's necessarily the most original, like, vision of a post-apocalyptic, future, but dude, this inspired and influenced so many movies after that. But it looks so cool, and you can tell there's like green screen backdrops. You can tell there's miniatures and stuff, but like, it looks awesome still, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of sets the precedence for what's going to go on,
And the music, like that weird tone that comes in, that wow tone, like, whoa, so good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for this movie.
But yeah, we see that.
Okay.
Which I think the reason why I didn't kind of reference that is I think I was grabbing my phone during that scene because I heard it beep upstairs. So I ran upstairs to grab it and came back down, and then they were at the electricity.
You got to pause. Jasper, you got to pause the movie. You got to pause the movie when you get up. But it goes back to it in Kyle Reese's flashbacks and stuff and dreams.
They did the flying, like the ships. They did that pretty good. You could tell like they weren't like, new CGI or whatever, but
you could tell the movement was a little like it was on a kind of
lagging.
It was like on an arm or something, right? Mm-hmm. Like you could tell it was just on an arm that moved around because the motion wasn't quite right for a flying thing. Even if it could hover, it wasn't quite right. But like the compositing of everything, because they obviously removed the arm, removed whatever it was connected to and all that, and it wasn't just dangling on a string.
That'd be kind of funny to see it like swing, like as it flies over. Like we couldn't get the arm right, so we just put it on a string. It's just like bobbing around.
Just have a robot say something about turbulence.
It's the turbulence. They have like string going on.
But it looks so like, and it's so cohesive. The look of the future, it looks so good. The lasers look awesome. I know that's like they've been doing lasers since the 70s, but
no, I will point out
the color scheme. Ugh.
I will point out, even though I could point it out in the shared universe, but the electricity effect was the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like when Predator's thing came down, but like that blue, real like deep blue. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is just. I mean, it's Terminator. Everybody knows what Terminator is, although I have a feeling a lot of people haven't necessarily watched this first one. A lot of younger people.
If you ask anybody, they saw T2.
Yeah.
I saw Terminator 2.
Which is fine, but I think I like this one better. I think they're both
more
great.
Story driven.
I think they're both great, but I kind of like this one better just because I like the tone of this one more. And the second one does well at carrying over a tone, but I like the tone of it. I have super nostalgia for this movie because I'm pretty sure I seen this young enough to where I thought there were scenes of this that were actually my life and not a movie. Luckily, not any of the weird, horrible robot scenes, but like there's some of that neighborhood scene where he finds the first Sarah Connor out of the phone book. Mm-hmm. And there's the shot of like the little girl riding the big wheel across the street. I'm pretty sure for a long time I thought that was like a girl that lived across my street.
Oh, really?
And then at one point in my life, like I watched the movie again and it was like, oh, when did I watch? How young was I when I watched Terminator? Why do I have this in my head as a memory?
What's funny too is in the neighborhood scene with that semi that he runs over.
Mhm.
I had that.
Really?
Yeah, mine was red though.
Maybe it just looks so of the time that yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, the thing right before that scene when he gets his clothes, I didn't need that, of course, because your eyes get drawn to flopping things around. I was like, oh,
Oh, do you see his floppy?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't
you
notice.
do.
I didn't notice this
Full
much.
bore.
No.
Because I was watching him walking and I just saw something swaying. So,
Huh.
Sorry.
I didn't notice that, Jasper.
yeah, well, I'm an observant person.
You missed the whole first
You should have saw me. I was like,
you missed the whole first future scene, but you seen his
Mhm.
floppy for whatever half a second it was probably on screen.
mm. To be a Terminator, you have to steal clothes, which I found out. You just got to steal clothes wherever you find them.
Well, yeah, because they can't send them through.
Yeah, because it's like the
it's
living
only
organism thing.
only organic matter unless it's wrapped or machinery that's wrapped in organic matter.
Mm-hmm. There's also, I'd like to point out a lot of Sarah Connors as he was going down the phone book.
There was only 3 actually.
Like, man, which one is which?
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to point out before he goes to visit that first one that pistol he buys
Mm-hmm.
has a scope on it.
Oh yeah,
I was like, why do you need that?
because it looks awesome. I mean, that's what
the first
the laser
thing-
thing is.
The first thing
Ominous.
I wouldn't do is tell a guy that's loading a shotgun in the gun store to not do that.
Well, you should probably not make that a possibility.
Yeah.
Don't have the gun.
Don't have
the
ammo out on
bullets
the-
sitting there on the counter when you're.
Don't do
showing
that
dudes
now.
No.
All the ammo's behind locked crates.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Probably for reasons like that.
Yeah, you don't want Terminator showing up.
No, I did like that bit though, where he's like, he knows all the weapons. Of course, I'm sure he's been programmed to know all the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But then he even asked for like a multi-phased. What was it? A
Plasma gun with a
Yeah.
50 meter range.
yeah, multi-phase plasma gun with a 50 in. Yeah, and the guy's just like, just what you see here. But
Like, doesn't even say, like, what is that? He just says, don't have it here.
yeah, he's like, I don't
You
know
know,
what that is.
I'm getting a truck this Friday. Might have it on there.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Arnold bad guy. When when the Arnold Terminator was actually a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, he's a good guy in the movies as they go on. Bill Paxton is one of the punks that he beats up for clothes at the beginning.
Yeah. Then here's another thing I want to point out. Yeah. So in the starting of the movie and then coming into the mid part of the movie is that they see that he's using the phone book. The guy even says, like, right off the bat, they're going to call him the phone book killer.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, damn, just already call it what it already is. Like, but my thing is, wouldn't you find the third Sarah Connor and protect her and not just have her kind of fall into your lap?
No, they were trying to. They
Yeah.
couldn't get a hold of her. They couldn't track her down. No, yeah, they picked as soon as like 2 Sarah Connors came through. Like
Mhm.
they're like, oh, and then they looked and they were killed in the order that they appear in the phone book. They start trying to get a hold of her. They call her house multiple times. They probably should have sent a cop there sooner. They eventually did send a cop there. And then once she like figured it out, she went to a public place, went to the tech noir, and then couldn't get through to 911. But eventually, she got through to people and they said, hold tight. It's just they took their sweet time getting there because the Terminator and Kyle Reese figured it out. She thought it was Kyle Reese trying to, was the guy because he's
Mhm.
some strange dude
Yeah.
following her. Let's talk about the effects. Speaking of practical
Lots
effects.
of electricity.
Well, yeah, those aren't practical. Lots of electricity effects, and those look good. I mean, they look of the time. Like you said in Predator, like has that same kind of look.
I got something for that. There's nothing scarier than Terminator Arnold, but there's also nothing scarier than animatronic Arnold.
Animatronic rubber face Terminator Arnold. It's rough. Like,
Because I was like sitting there watching it, and as soon as like they went to, I was like, "What?" Like you could tell that it was badly like animatronic.
and it's almost like,
Which I guess they did they not really have makeup back then, or
well, no, they did, but I think the reason they went full rubber head is to put it like the depth in there, to put the machinery, like there's a hole in his face
mm-hmm.
and then set it back. You can only layer stuff onto people with makeup. But first off, the animatronics, they went maybe a little overboard because couldn't they just like have somebody basically puppet that? Like,
Mhm.
do they need to have his head move
You could-
weird like that?
You could tell when he lost all his skin, like that was someone puppeting when he opened the door because he's like doing the whole like shoddy.
The movement, yeah.
Like
I think
it's
there
like
was,
someone was just taking him from the back and just moving him. Like
there's even like some kind of a like claymation style, stop motion style
when he walks out
shots.
of fire.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's rough. The model is awesome though. The
Yeah.
like Terminator robot skeleton, like that, talk about iconic, but that thing looks awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's also funny in the later part of the movie where he's chasing with the truck.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because like when the camera was in the cab of the truck, his red light is like real dim.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they go out from them chase, there's like this
You can
huge
see
red light.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Occasionally they use that to really good effect, particularly when it almost seems like it was Linda Hamilton's dream, but another kind of Kyle Reese flashback to where he's hanging out in wherever it is they hang out in the future, the little tunnel, alleyway, underground trash place that they live. And a Terminator gets in there.
trash people.
They do look like, whatever. They're homeless. Well, they're not homeless. They're post-apocalyptic, people. But a Terminator gets in there and starts attacking. And there's a couple awesome shots where it's like got this big gun and it's firing, and you see it mostly in silhouette from the light behind it. It's all dark, but you see the two glowing eyes. There's some really good visuals in this movie. Some fantastic shots. As a whole, like, what a good concept. James Cameron, he's a pimp for this movie. Like, I'm not a huge fan of some of his later career stuff. Like, I understand he does big blockbusters and this and that, but like some of his early stuff, like this, the sci-fi stuff, some of the early sci-fi action stuff, like so good.
I think it's nice to see, even though I do like the new CGI graphics and stuff like that, and it kind of makes it more streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to see how they did effects back then, like to where they try to make it as more streamlined as they can. Like the whole like skeleton moving and stuff, and they probably that probably took days to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or the red light, or the said mannequin, the animatronic.
I mean, the thing that I really like about, there were parts while watching this movie, because I do think of that sometimes, and I figured our conversation would go there anyway with the effects, because that tends to be a thing we focus on sometimes. But the rubber face part made me think, like, CGI is so abused all the time now, but there's really some things that CGI can, like, that I'm glad that they can accomplish, because they could do that easily with a CGI effect and have it look great. But then,
kind of like bringing in my favorite character, Iron Man. You could not do the flying around supersonic speed back then.
But then, if they made, chances are they did it now, that skeleton, that robot metal skeleton, would probably never actually be on the set. Like, it would be a CGI thing all the time. And I like that they even though it moves a little funky sometimes, a little clunky, but I like that there's actually this awesome looking, super polished, creepy robot skeleton on the set. Like, it's a physical thing that's there crawling after this chick. And you can tell when a thing can't be touched for real. And it kind of does take a little something out of a movie. So even though the movement's a little weird, I appreciate that thing is there, except for when it's stop motion, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I did not like about this movie was the ending. Was it just kind of all of a sudden happened, like from the truck to the, like, him just getting squashed in the press. It was just like, I thought there could have been a little bit more like of a fight.
No, I don't know. I thought that was fine because that whole thing is almost like an add-on. It's like a tack-on. It's like because they set up the truck explosion. They set up the relief, like the end of the movie, relief, it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you don't know the movie, maybe, you'd be like, okay, well, it's over. And then it comes out, and there's this whole sequence where they're fighting it in this, whatever that machine shop or whatever it was is. So that all felt like, I didn't mind that. It didn't feel short to me, because that whole section feels like extra stuff. That it's like, oh my God, it's not over yet? Okay. Like, not in a bad way, but in a tense way.
Mm.
Also, I appreciate how Kyle Reese gets killed. It's a big deal, but not like a big deal. Like, it just happens. Like, he gets blown up, and then he's just dead. And it's not like this big, like him, this long drawn out, oh, I'm dying. No, Kyle, don't go. Like, it's not that whole thing. It's just like, he gets blown up. She goes over to him. He's gone. Like, he's dead. I'm like, whoa, that's almost more
she's just
brutal.
kind of like, oh, you're dead later, dude. And just
well,
walks off.
she doesn't even have she doesn't have time to deal, because then the upper torso of the Terminator starts coming after her.
See, that's kind of like what I liked about the movie, was that he was a major character, but they kind of were almost kind of writing him out from the beginning. Like, they're like, we're going to introduce him as his father, and he's dead.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wonder how much the character knew before he went back.
Same thing I wondered. Like, I was like, does he know he's his dad? Like,
because John Connor would have known, and I guess you wouldn't have to tell him, because if you exist, you've already sent him back. Like, it's the whole time travel kind of paradox thing. So do you not have to tell him then? All you have to do is make sure you send him back and it'll happen? Or do you have to tell him, or you get worried that you're going to send him back, he won't do it, and then it all then it all vanishes. I don't know. I wonder if
It's kind of cool too when you realize that when he says, I'll die for John Connor, and it's like, you would die for your son.
Mm-hmm.
I also like in the ending part where you kind of see her kind of form her character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for one, under the bridge, she dresses his wound, and he's like, that's a really good dressing.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, oh, okay, that's my first one. But he, like, almost kind of like I say, he kind of faints. And she's like, on your feet, soldier. Like, she's like yelling at him like a commander would.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of showing who she becomes like later in the storyline.
Like, it is kind of a quick change, but I do like that. Yeah, she's just like a normal chick. She's just a normal person.
Which was weird to see, because I'm used to Terminator 2, where she's already like
hard. She is hard. Oh yeah.
Like when they go into the house of Terminator 2, she's like, this is how it's going to be. Like, you would not see that in her character in the first one. Like,
no, she's like a normal chick. Yeah. And
like, she's having trouble waitressing and all that.
And the turn does happen kind of quick, but it's not that big. And they set her up at the end of the movie, the last scene, yeah, they progress her enough towards that to where it feels like pretty natural that's where she would go. Oh, this is a total sidetrack. Have you seen the most recent Terminator, Genesis?
No.
I did not like that Sarah Connor. Bad casting choice. It's
Terminator Chronicles sounds good too.
I didn't watch it. Okay.
Don't ever.
Okay, well, I know there's more we could say about this movie, but there's not. And the sequel stuff I will get into, like I said earlier, before Cinematic Universe. Oh, gotta mention, I know I mentioned a little bit the music. Of course, again, 80s synth music. I'm a sucker for it. But for the most part, like, I love the music. It's iconic. It's I think it's Brad Fidel, something like that.
I did like the soundtrack on that one better than Predator.
Ooh, no, I didn't talk. I love the Predator soundtrack too. I like this one better. I don't like all of it, because some of the chase music where it's that like random notes that like I could do without that. But the main theme, the crazy synth sounds that come in when every time they do a flash forward flashback, like, awesome. Love it. Love the sound of it. Predator has I like the Predator score, and it's big like all the time, but I don't know. It's not the same, but I like the Predator score too. But I think Terminator's got a more iconic score for sure. Ratings. I'm gonna jump forward. Oh wait, no, you jump forward.
I'd probably give it the same 4 out of 5.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna bump it up to 4.5 out of 5.
Ooh.
I did like the action a little bit better,
mm-hmm.
and a little bit of this. Like, I'm a very story driven person, and it seemed like a really good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, just because I'm a Trek fan, I hate different timelines or whatever, but they did it perfectly in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the graphics were awesome, or the not the graphics, the effects.
Yeah, the visual effects.
Yeah, and then the music was good. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 5, man. This is a 5. This is a 5-star movie, which doesn't surprise me. I'm actually a little surprised that I didn't give Predator a 5, but I think watching Predator, I watched this and then I watched Predator, and it was like, okay, yeah, I like Terminator better, and Terminator is most definitely a 5 for me. James Cameron came up with like a great concept. His vision for it is very specific. He nails it. He kind of defined that certain style of post-apocalyptic futures. You got time travel is awesome. It's kind of like Predator in that it's a sci-fi action horror movie. Here's this thing coming after you, and it's almost impossible to kill. There's people that like Terminator 2 more, and I get that. Like, I understand it, but
I think the liquid metal one kind of sold it on that one.
Well, I seen somebody describe it as like, there's 2 kinds of people in the world. People who prefer Terminator and people who prefer Terminator 2. And I think Terminator 1 is more of for me, it's more of about mood, tone, and kind of concept. And Terminator 2 is all about spectacle. Let's make this crazy. But it's not to say Terminator 2 is bad. But yeah, anyway, 5-star. I think it's awesome. I'll be back. I'll be back.
And
come with me if you want to live.
Say that on this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle Reese said it. Kyle Reese said it to him, and then they reuse it in all the movies, of course. There's some interesting, I know we won't get a chance to pair this with Terminator 2, but they reuse some stuff in Terminator 2 from this. And when the Terminator gets shotgunned through the club window,
a shop in 2.
And the shop in 2, like it plays out almost exactly the same. The timing is the same. The camera angle is the same, where he hits the sidewalk with all the glass. And like, I just like that kind of symmetry between the two. All right, Jasper.
Mm-hmm.
The movie studios, they've done Alien vs. Predator. They don't know what to do with Terminator. But they need these franchises.
Yeah.
What are they going to do for a Terminator Predator cinematic universe?
Okay, so this is where I'm at. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what year Predator was in?
The first Predator, well, it was 1987, I'm assuming. So, yeah.
Well, but was it the same? Well, like the storyline in that same year?
Yeah. Although they don't really specify.
Okay, well, let's just throw that first timeline out, because this is an awesome idea.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say the Predator is before then, and the Predator happens, the jungle fight and everything. So Predator is either ran Skynet, like the alien, alien power is running this. They gave the power to the robots to overthrow everybody.
The Predator aliens run Skynet.
Yeah, so they basically empower Skynet to take over the world.
Okay.
Okay, Predator goes back in time. Okay. Because they try to find the strongest person to clone to make into Terminators, or to process into Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he fights Arnold, or Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
Basically likes his fighting style, thinks he's good, scans him with his visor, and they basically make the new Terminators in his image. He goes, basically takes that. I wouldn't say because he blew up that he could go back,
Mm-hmm.
but basically upload the data, and they make the new Terminators, make Dutch into the new Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
So then they are trying to find a way to fight the Predators. So Terminator comes in. So they send Dutch back, or Dutch's clone, back into the 80s to try to fight, basically making the Terminator storyline.
Okay.
And then I was kind of lost it after there. Now I wanted to tie it into someone was in the squad in Predator
Mm-hmm.
that knew that they would become. Now, what I kind of wanted to do was think of either Dutch knew Sarah Connor
Mm-hmm.
in some fashion, but I couldn't figure that one out.
Okay.
But basically, that Predator is the race that was behind making Skynet as powerful as it is.
Okay. Okay.
So what's yours?
Okay. Well, to recap yours, so Predator, who did they send back to the
Basically, Predator is
timeline,
the
Terminator.
prequel to where the Terminators got their image,
Okay. Okay.
if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Basically, cloned Dutch to be the new Terminators.
Okay. Okay.
I'm trying to use the Arnold
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
crossover.
Okay. You want my pitch?
Yes.
I gotta look at my notes. I actually took notes for this one. All right. I have 2 movies to set up this universe. 2 movies in mind.
Okay.
And then, studio can take it from there. And also, I do want to specify, I think the cinematic universe would work with the first 2 of both franchises. Even though technically we only need to worry about the first of each. I think Terminator 2 and Predator 2 would both be unfazed by this.
Okay.
And in my mind, for both those franchises, Predator 2 is even iffy, but whatever, it's okay. But
Does that one have Arnold in it?
no.
No. Okay.
No, it's got what's his name? Danny Glover.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that sometime. That'll get paired with something else.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a Predator 2 Aliens thing or something, so we can do a proper Alien versus Predator universe and rewrite whatever junk they did for that. Anyway, here it is. Dutch is tough. He survived the Predator thing. He's part of the military. Well, the military, so there are theories on how these movies tie together online. And I read through some of it. They go through there's some stretches, but I will borrow one aspect. And this is the thing that shares common with yours. Of course, Dutch was at least the physical model for the famous model of Terminator, for the Arnold Terminator. Because he's in the military. He's super tough. He survived fighting this Predator. So when Skynet, it was Skynet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skynet or Cyberdyne or whatever it is, Skynet and the government, and they work with the government because that happens. That's how it works. That's where they got the model for, he was in the system. The machines end up using it. these movies could go either way, but I think here's the first movie. In the future, humans have pretty much fallen. The machines have taken over. Then some predators come along. The first movie will be Predators versus Terminators, basically. Predators come back to Earth in the future and find machines. I'm a little unsure as to whether the Predators would enjoy hunting the machines, because they'd obviously be much tougher sport than humans, which I would think they'd like. But I don't know, like, if a hunter wants to go after a machine versus an organic thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, maybe they'd do some type of slight team up with some of the human resistance to fight back the machines. Because if nothing else, predators recognize that the machines are an ongoing threat. They get off Earth, they're going to do the same thing to other organisms elsewhere. Predators can't have that. They just want to go around and hunt creatures. They don't want these machines ruining it for them or whatever. And so in the end, the predators beat the machines. And then they probably kill the humans and whatever. So it's not good for humans, whatever. So that's most of the first movie. Predators versus Terminators. So that is why they have the Dutch model of Terminator, because they know they have him in, this data in their system. They have this Dutch guy in this system. And they're like, oh, he has fought these things. So that's why they produce the Arnold version of Terminator to fight against the Predators. Well, when the Predators end up winning anyway, Predators and humans, the machines are like, can't have this. So they make a Terminator in the style of a Predator to go back and fight a pre-Predator Dutch, take him out before he can ever encounter the Predator, because their thinking is if they can go get rid of Dutch before he kills that first Predator, the Predators won't really give Earth a second thought and will kind of off in the future. So the second movie is basically a Terminator Predator against pre-Predator Dutch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's basically Terminator only with Dutch. Okay, I didn't sell those very well, but you got Terminator versus Predator in the future, and then second movie is Terminator Predator.
Terma-Predator.
Terma-Predator. Predator.
So it's almost like procrastinator, but Predator. It's the Predator.
So
sounds like a horrible wrestling person.
Yeah, Predator. Ooh.
He just comes out and kills out all the time.
So I don't know. When those ideas came to me, I like it. It doesn't seem plausible to me though that those movies would happen. But I love the idea of a Terminator made to look like the Predator. I think that'd be awesome.
Just like a battle royale.
Yeah, and then I love the idea of the future post-apocalyptic world that we see in Terminator involving the Predators. That'd be cool.
It would be. I would watch it. Like, just to see a fight between them. How resilient is like Terminator to the tri-shot and everything, or, and the beam.
So I guess it almost makes more sense to do the pre-Predator Terminator movie and then do the Predators against the Terminators.
Prequel.
Yeah.
See, that's what kind of sucks with like the time hopping, is it's kind of hard to place it.
On the one hand, though, that would mean that essentially it changes Predator. Prequel would change Predator. Because if Dutch went into Predator knowing that Predators are a thing, or that there are at least machines that look like Predators, like that movie would go down way differently.
Right.
So it would essentially unravel Predator, which would then unravel the reason for a Predator Terminator machine coming back to kill him. It's a mess.
All I'm thinking about is the battle scene. That'd be cool.
I mean, that's all anybody's thinking about. You mesh these universes together. You just want to see some Predators and some machines fight each other.
That's the only thing, like, the only thing I don't like in Predator is just, like, because you said, like, he has such a big suit that he kind of just, like,
yeah, he's a little lumbery, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to, like, I almost think kind of in, like, Alien vs. Predator, they got a little bit more streamlined. Like, he's a little bit more agile, but, I mean, Predator's supposed to be big, huge, and kind of lumbersome, but
I mean, I think he's supposed to be agile, too, because even in Predator, they had him be agile, but it was only ever when he had the camo effect on, because it was obvious the dude in the suit could not
move
that
fast. Yeah.
So whose pitch wins?
I think yours, because like I said, I kind of lost my way there, but yours makes more sense to me. Like if I really like researched mine and like kind of like plotted the course, but I liked yours though.
I think it would make sense that if Predators come back to Earth every so often when it was super hot, and that future world looked pretty hot, like it makes sense that they'd come back and then see the machines and be like, whoa. I don't know. What do you think the Predator, would they hunt the machines? Do you think they would hunt the machines like sport?
Because I thought about that when you were saying it, because I would think, wouldn't it be easy to just keep make it, like, it's almost kind of, I forgot what that book was or that movie. Where he invites everybody to the island.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And hunts them.
Most dangerous game or whatever.
Yeah, the most dangerous game. I would see it kind of like that, where they try to improve them to hunt them, like to make them more like they're not hunted easily. But yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering.
Now the Alien versus Predator movies, I've only seen 2. I've seen the first one.
There's 3, isn't there?
I think there's 2. Well, there might be 3. I don't know. I know there's at least 2. The first one was terrible. I mean, I don't think those movies are canon in either of those universes, really.
Right.
Definitely not in Alien. But if I recall right, supposedly the aliens were created by the Predators to be like super tough game. That's why they have acid blood and all that.
Right.
So that, not that that has anything to do with my universe, but that would make me think they'd hunt the machines. If the machines, I mean, if it's AI, they're technically kind of like a living type thing. I think they'd hunt them. Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of saying. Like they would make them to like, oh, well, we're now killing him easily. Let's make a new like Terminator 2000. Make him better.
So here's the question:
because that would almost kind of lead into liquid metal, because their beam would just go through them.
Humans have no chance against the machines. Like, do the Predators really have any better chance? I mean, they got better tech than humans do, but do they have a chance against the machines?
It just really depends. Like, what's their power level, power strength. And
I think the Predator's advantage in the situation, and why in my pitch the Terminator machines versus Predators win out, is because, I mean, they got spaceship tech. And as far as I know, the machines don't have spaceship tech. So the Predators can just like chill off world, figure out like, we need to strike here, here, here to shut down the machines and make it happen. Because if they've got space tech, they can, I don't know, drop some plasma nukes or whatever in the right places on Earth and take care of the machine like central control. So yeah, in the long run, I think Predators would probably win just because they're more advanced than even though the machines are pretty advanced, but
they're really advanced.
Yeah, and actually they have time travel and liquid machine robots, and that is pretty advanced, but they don't ever seem interested in leaving Earth. So, and the Predators, who knows? The Predator, like, they got crazy. He's just a hunter. Like, I assume the Predator in this movie, in Predator, he's just a dude. That's his weekend.
He's like because it's almost like you kind of think coming to that movie like he's a hitman or something, like he's an assassin coming there to kill Dutch or something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he's just a hunter, and like if he's got like nuke suit, laser beam, like if that's just his like high tech hunter gear, I'm sure like Predator military has some crazy stuff.
Right. You never really see the firepower of their ships either.
No. You don't see a ship at all outside of the opening scene when they go all the thing on it and like show that it's just like the same opening scene where the spaceship flies down to Earth. Looks good though.
Right.
So I got 2 movies, and what they do with it from there, who knows? They'll probably muck it up like they did the Terminator franchise, because like I get it, time travels gets tricky, but come on guys.
you can do it.
And watching Terminator, I'm like, and thinking about the cinematic universe, I knew right away, I was like, nothing past part 2 is any canon to what I want to do, because especially in Terminator, what a mess it becomes. And it's like and I know, like I just said, time travel gets tricky and complicated, but they overcomplicate stuff, especially like Genesis. Like there was some interesting stuff they did, like they basically redid part 1, but like, talk about overcomplicating things. They got what was Matt Smith character doing in there, and then John Connor's now like this weird robot, and which kind of seemed like it's downgrade from the liquid metal robot actually, and it's just a mess. And Terminator 3 was just not good, so I don't know.
Yeah, they should have gave up on it quite a while ago.
They're gonna do it again. I think they're rebooting it. I think they're gonna straight up reboot it.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I'm curious about Predator though.
Right.
As far as I know, it's just called Predator, or it might be called...
When's the supposed release date?
This year, but I did not look more into it. But it's directed by Shane Black, which is cool. So in our cinematic universes so far, okay, so we got our Baywatch, Knight Rider cinematic universe, Highlander, Flash Gordon, and then this one. Skipping last episode, of course, because that was craziness. Which one do you think is more likely to become a reality? Not necessarily our versions, but which one do you think could happen?
I think we really hit it with Highlander, Flash Gordon.
I kind of think so too. I think the demand for like a Predator Terminator would be higher. I think plausibly Knight Rider Baywatch, if Baywatch hadn't have bombed, could plausibly happen.
Yeah.
But of the three, the one I think that might be most interesting without going stupid ridiculous would be Highlander Flash Gordon.
Yeah, because they're still in the same. It's kind of the same sci-fi region. You know, they would mesh very well.
Since we've already covered these movies, we can't really go. Not to say we can't, but I think a Highlander Terminator mash would be awesome.
Right?
Right? Yeah, it'd be super sweet.
There can only be one. Dun dun dun.
Okay, so before we totally wrap this up, I swear I had a message from Matthew D, who we've mentioned on Grawlix podcast, Grawlix Prime, several times, from Matt D, and I couldn't find the exact one, but I know he had suggested Terminator, RoboCop, Universal Soldier.
Okay.
Now, we did Terminator. We still have T2, of course, that we'll probably pair up with something at some point. We're actually going to... Actually, this is kind of a bummer. I'm sorry, Matt. We're going to split all those apart. We're not going to do that, but I loved the idea, and I almost put Terminator... If it were up to me, we'd be talking about RoboCop instead of Predator today. Anyway.
He told me to make executive decisions.
I know, because I picked the last one, so it was your turn. I kind of want to put Universal Soldier with Soldier or something, but maybe we'll pair it with Terminator 2 or something. We are going to use RoboCop. We're going to pair it with something else. So next episode, we're committed to this one? Okay. Next episode, we're going to be doing RoboCop and Judge Dredd from the 90s.
Yeah.
Not the good Dredd.
We can do the good Dredd.
You don't even think it's the good Dredd.
I would say do the newer one.
Was it on the pre-show that we got into that rant?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I can't put that on the regular show. Hey, patreon.com/Grawlix podcast. You want to hear our pre-show? You want to hear Randy go a little
nuts?
A little
wildfire in that one.
On-chain. Yeah. That's it. I think that's all. We got. Hey, you can follow the Grawlix Podcast on Twitter @Grawlix Podcast. Also on Instagram, same thing, or Facebook.com/Grawlix Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter @Randall Silvey. It's RANDALSILVEY. Same thing on Instagram or Randall Silvey Podcaster on Facebook. Also, if you need some podcast editing, podedit.com. Hit it up.
He does a great job.
Podedit. How about you, Jasper? Who are you? And where I f***ed this whole thing up bad. Who are you?
That's a weird question to ask episode 4. No, you can catch me on Twitter at Ninja Monkey Live, which is @symbol, and then NINJAMUNK3Y. 3Y with live at the end.
Live.
So, same thing on Instagram, and then yeah.
Are you sure it's not Live? Is it Ninja Monkey Live?
You're gonna make me check it.
How can you? It's the same. How could you tell?
I know, but I'm just saying.
Oh, you want it live though.
Yeah, it's Ninja Monkey Live.
Ninja Monkey Live.
Live. Say it with your face. Live.
Ninja Monkey Live at
or
Grawlix. That's good. I don't know what that means.
Or you can catch me at Twitch, twitch.tv/Ninja Monkey Live. I do gameplays there.
Plays the games.
The games.
We gonna do ratings on this thing? Is there more you want to talk about? Had you seen this before?
Yeah, I've seen Terminator.
Okay.
Not in a long time. Like I said, I mostly remember Terminator 2.
You getting tired?
I'm just
You're putting
comfortable
Yeah, well.
due to health reasons.
Are you gonna die?
Euros.
Oh, gee, that's not a health reason. That's a health decision.